Welcome to LEAP 2023.
Welcome.
This session is all about sustainability for dummies and where to start. This is a new concept that we want to share with you. It's basically like a TED Talk, and I brought my dear friend Antonio with me to talk about why and where to start with sustainability in a business context. It's not a new topic by itself, but still many companies are a bit lost on how to start, where to start, what is the right approach, do I need support, what kind of support do I need? And that is what we would like to talk about.
Yes, thanks, Mark. My name is Antonio Veloso. I'm the Senior Solution Architect for Digital Transformation and Sustainability. And we are here to talk a little bit about, how we approach sustainability. And that's why we name it as For Dummies, because I think some years back, this is not a new topic for us, we kind of were a bit, trying to figure out how to approach it. And that's pretty much what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you already started off well in saying we started already years ago, but I think that is something that already started very early, right, at Westernacher?
Yes, right. I mean, if I think about it, even before this was a buzzword and everybody was thinking about it, we kind of already felt that, okay, if we want to do this right, first we have to do it for ourselves. And I think that's one of the initiatives we had, I believe, almost 3 years back, where you, also members of the board, have actually worked together and make this happen. And I think you can maybe tell a bit about the experience, because it was quite a dummy experience, I would say, right?
Yeah, it was. And I think what is important also, even before these 3 years, the part of CSR was always core of our DNA at Westernacher, especially the social part and the governance part was always core of our values. Yeah, we always put a lot of focus on our people. Yeah, also on gender equality, but also having a proper governance in place. That is like the basics. But what we saw 3 years ago was that with regards to the carbon part, we were kind of lost. Yeah, we were exactly at this stage where many of our customers or partners are currently struggling with. Yeah, what is our carbon footprint? How do we measure that? What is actually the driver behind our emissions?
And I would just like to call out that although we start with the CO2 emissions, we kind of are still approaching sustainability like in all the three variants of that, basically saying, the environment part, the social part, and the economic part. But because we are solution driven and because we have the SAP, solutions available for us, we can, of course, with the CO2, because it's the one that requires quite a lot of, let's say, information and data. And that's why I think, Mark, you work together and you create our own carbon footprint monitor. So is this something that, can you showcase a little bit what we have done and what we are still doing?
Yeah, it came kind of natural to that because we had this question, okay, what are our emissions? And then as I'm the global lead for business planning analytics at Westernacher, the idea was really, why not treating, so to say, carbon emissions in a similar way as we treat cost or revenues? Yeah, we just need to identify the sources from where our emissions come from, the drivers, and how to convert these sources into carbon emissions, because it's not a natural tracking like on a bank account for your revenues or cost. And this is how we started with a colleague. We looked at, okay, what are the main drivers? And it became quite obvious. Travel is the number one driver, really like 80-90% coming out of travel. Yeah, because we need to go to our customers, having workshops with them, implementing solutions. And that requires being on site in regions like in the US or China. We are traveling heavily with planes, and we all know plane is not the economic friendly way of traveling. Yeah, there are better options like with a train, but it's not always possible, right? Other factors we identified were our office spaces. We have 27 offices worldwide, where we have also different factors, like we have an office in India, and of course the emissions from heating and everything are different than in a very economic friendly region like Europe, where we have multiple offices, where we already have our office spaces switched to green renewable energy, and therefore also the emissions are different. Next to that is our work, right? I mean, we are now talking to you, we are streaming that, and of course there are also emissions using technology, our laptops, screens, all the equipment that we are working with. These also need to be produced, and emissions come from that.
And it would be fair to say that at this moment we actually have quite a comprehensive view on, how much our emissions, including the office spaces, but also the traveling, like you're saying. And then we're trying to basically expand that and even to control as much as possible. Even here in the office, for example, a lot of the lights are triggered by movements, so that whenever we are not around, they get, shut down. So things, very simple things, but also very complex things. What is really important is that we are moving in the right direction. And again, not only for ourselves, but also a bit for, the customers. And that's, I think, what we are going to be discussing in further slides.
You're right. From there, basically, we aggregated all our emission sources, recalculated everything, and put this into a dashboard, into an analytical application within the SAP Analytics Cloud to really being able to focus and deep dive into specific sources, and of course to trigger actions, right? Because it's not sufficient just to have the numbers in place. This is kind of the first step. If I can't improve or target to something if I don't know where I am at the moment, that is where we started off. This is kind of in a very good shape at the moment. I would not say that we are perfect, because we still have models in certain places where we need to take assumptions, for example, for a taxi, how much emissions did that have, and not necessarily we differentiate if we are using a plug-in hybrid, an electric vehicle, is it a diesel car, is it a gasoline one? That is something where we are not that specific to the latest, but we are trying to improve, and I think we have come to a good state at the moment. We are certified now, We try also to make up for that, by planting trees. So that is already something good, but for sure we need to improve. And I think you've seen already our ambitions here.
Yes, at the beginning, and I think also important for the audience that are watching this, I think it's at the beginning when I look at these numbers, I was like, how much is this? Is this something really a lot, or is this something, because if you just look at the numbers and if you're not that familiar with all the sustainability concepts and also how you actually report them, I guess maybe we should tell that, actually these are great numbers, even if, it just sounds like it's not a big of a number, but rather, what is in the background for this that shows that this is quite a great number, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard also to compare this, and you make a right question, like, is that a lot? I would not say that I'm able to answer this because, again, other services companies like we are also in the investigation phase. Perhaps they have these numbers, but not necessarily they do report them openly into the public. I think we are good, but we have also seen that the post-COVID phase, carbon emissions, especially coming out of travel, are increasing again because we are not anymore in this lockdown phase where everyone is staying at home and everything is done remotely, right? Now we are traveling again to customers. You just came from the US, and that is something where we really need to address this and stick to our plans. I think we have very ambitious plans, and what I like about our plans is that we have it in a two-folded way. The first one is per employee working hour. Every hour that a Westernacher employee is working, how much do we spend gross on carbon emissions? And here our ambition is within the 2026, we are cutting it by half from 2021 on. And why 2021? Because that is our base. That is the first year that we made these calculations, that we know of where to jump from.
Yes, and I think you also need to mention that we, as a number of employees and as a company, we're not staying static, right? I think we are planning to grow, I would say, how much?
Yeah, we are playing by 50% headcount growth. And that is playing into this absolute target, which I find even more important here, because at the end, it's always nice to have these relative targets like, yeah, I cut by X%. But X% still means at the end you have emissions, right? And we want to become sustainable, right? That is the overarching targets that we all have. 0 or even better, being positive. And this is where we do, at least from a target perspective, a good job in setting these high targets, saying we grow by 50% in headcount and still we reduce by more than 20% our emissions.
Yes.
But I know, Antonio, you've spent also a lot of research looking globally, right? We are just Westernacher, almost 1,000 people, but that is not sufficient, right, to reach our targets. What is going on in the world?
Yes, yeah, because I think we have sometimes a little bit more European vision, but if you want to, expand it also for the audience, which is coming from other regions, this is not only happening, just not our idea. It's also coming from all the governments and all the entities, and of course, all the big corporations are already thinking about this, pretty much as we are. And then it's really interesting that if you do a small research about, how many regulations are coming, there is really a huge list which spans across the world. There are examples from United Kingdom, from Australia, from France. And so it's pretty much all over the place, and it's coming, as well as what is also interesting is like the California example. So, and in many different areas, in many different ways, not only CO2 emissions. And again, we're not only here to talk about CO2 emissions, but it's also, in terms of the social impact, the labor, which is not, well compensated. So there is quite a lot of this pretty much around the world and in all the different aspects of sustainability.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned California, what I found interesting, I just recently watched the Netflix series on Schwarzenegger, and in the third part, for those, spoiler, talking about that, as a governor in California, he actually made the most restrictive laws at that time for carbon emissions. And later, President Obama actually made that a national law, with these targets. So even for countries and states where we think of, well, they're perhaps not that conscious yet about sustainability, there's some movement, right?
Yes, for sure. I mean, and that's why I think what we are now doing, and we're already working with customers on this particular topic, and I think that's much now the juice of this TED talk or Westernacher talk, is that we are trying to find ways on, implement what we have done at Westernacher and even further in our customers. And for that, we need to not only think, okay, CO2, we should not only think, okay, SAP and softwares, and only, for example, the business. We need to kind of complement all these three aspects so that we can achieve a sustainable enterprise. And that's the part where I think we can really help, because we have the business understanding. So we know the business process, either it's transportation or warehouse or planning, analytics. We understand how the business works. So therefore, and we kind of always have done more from a cost-driven perspective. Now we are doing it from a more ecological or economic or even a social efficiency. And that's where we bring in our business expertise, our technology, innovation, SAP experts, and also pretty much that's all we live for. And then we bring all the sustainability understanding, and also we have some partners which can help us on be more scientific, let's put it like that. And we try to work with our customers so that we can build solutions or even change processes so that then a company can really, walk towards a sustainable enterprise.
And I think this is what you just described. This is kind of the most relevant aspects that I would like to take you from this talk is to get started, and don't expect, so to say, to achieve the big picture by tomorrow. but it's in your processes and systems where to start off. And I think it's key what you also described to look at this, having the right internal experts on board saying like, hey, what can we do? You know our processes. Where was the same with Westernacher. You know where exactly, so to say, the black holes are, where we are not according to the sustainability targets we have set, yeah? And then going into these and improving.
Yes, and I think going back to the title of our talk today, which is Sustainability for Dummies, because there is really not, an official way, an official method on how to do that. But what we are feeling is with our customers and the way we are doing it, where basically we come down and we sit down and we talk about pretty much the entire landscape that they have in terms of solutions, in terms software solutions, in terms of all the business processes. And we kind of trying to understand areas of improvement. And we basically then do an assessment and we look for the different solutions within the SAP landscape, but also in terms of all our own creations that we can do. And we then try to propose how to improve and create a roadmap, because it's an ongoing process. And I think there is always space for improvement on this. It's not a, let's say, one-time job that we can sit down. And if a company really wants to be sustainable and moving forward, really not only have a neutral impact, but a positive impact, this has to be an ongoing process. And that's a little bit what we are now doing with our customers. And we know that we just had this week one project where we were able to look together and work together with the customer and really understand, okay, what are the targets and where we want to go. And we are now in the process of proposing the solutions back. What is also then important is what we feel is that there are customers who are really, really keen in moving in this direction. And some of them really have quite a lot of expertise. But there are also others which just pretty much, more a need that they will have to do it because the government is kind of, forcing them to do. But I think in our case, we don't care. We can actually help pretty much all of them because we really want to, make sustainability also, something that is not only happening at Westernacher, but also to our customers. And yeah.
And I think I fully agree, but it's also important to just underline it should not be this extrinsic aspect of you should move, but also see the benefits of becoming sustainable. Customer wishes are changing, new markets appearing, cost-saving initiatives. All this comes hand in hand. So even in this, so to say, old world, you will find benefits of becoming sustainable. So, It's not only this outside in, you need to, but I think if you look closely and with an open heart into it, you will see the benefits and opportunities.
Yes, and yes, definitely. And and again, even if it's just the part of the governments, it's just something that it's coming, but I guess it will get worse and worse because it's, it will be the government. And I think also the customers are being way more active on that front. And I guess companies should start having the fear of missing out on this particular topic.
Yeah, you're right. So if you think that this was interesting to you and could bring you some aspects and clarity, then please reach out to us. We are more than happy to discuss your roadmap to a sustainable enterprise.
Yes. And like you said, there are a lot of customers moving in that direction. So if you are listening to this and somehow you feel like your organization is not doing what they should, I guess you should think twice about it and actually then contact us so that we can actually help you and so that you can become a sustainable enterprise. Even if, at the beginning we all feel a bit dummies, but we know that the way forward is definitely to address this with, technology, innovation, with SAP products, with business processes, and then of course, driving initiatives which can span across the years, but that's the way we have to do it. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you for attending.